Banczak, and welcome to episode 57 of Books Cubed, the show where I chat with the authors that you should be reading. It is Thursday, March 19th, 2020, and I hope that wherever you are in the world that you are safe and happy and with friends and family, and we're just going to have to ride this thing out and hope that everything starts calming down soon. But it could be a while because the United States has just hit us, or it's just starting to hit us, and it's nowhere near what it's going to be after looking at Italy and China. So stay safe, stay inside, watch a lot of shows that you've been meaning to watch, and read a lot of books. And speaking of books, I have a great interview with UK author Jeannie Wycherley, and we are talking about Wonky Witches and Spellbound Hounds today. So let's get right to the show, and I will see you after. Okay, I want to welcome Jeannie Wycherley today. And
Hi.
we are, hi. I'm going to read first her bio. And I love that her bio is written in first person. Okay, this is her bio. What's the thing I love to do most in the world? Write. I'm particularly drawn to dark fantasy and horror, but I'm happy to genre hop and have written erotica, love stories, and dystopian fiction too. Wow, that's a good variety. That was me adding, not her bio. Now back to her bio. My inspiration comes from everywhere. A word here, a look there, but mainly for me, it's the landscape. I'm fortunate to live in a glorious part of Devon, UK, where I have it all. Rocky coast, pebbles and sandy beaches, winding lanes and picture-perfect cottages, cliffs and forest. A good day for me means a blustery wind, racing waves, and salty rain. I live here with my husband and 3 dogs, make a lot of soup, and play too much RuneScape. Oh, that sounds gorgeous.
Yeah, it's quite idyllic. I mean, it's not quite like that all the time, but yeah, that's pretty much how I want to live my life. So,
Nice. Okay, so this is during the height of this coronavirus stuff that's going on. So I got to ask, is your country hoarding toilet paper like Americans are?
it's absolutely crazy. I've been to the supermarket this morning. I just needed some paracetamol because I've got a trapped nerve in my back, and it was fairly hideous out there. The aisles are empty of pasta and tinned goods and toilet roll, kitchen roll, that sort of thing. And you just wonder why anybody needs that much stuff. But it's also very scary. Until I'd seen that this morning, I hadn't realised what a bind the UK was in. And now I feel quite scared, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I live in the east coast of Florida, and so we are hurricane. I mean, that's what we have, hurricanes all the time. Well, not all the time, but during, hurricane season. And that's what the supermarkets look like right now. It looks like
Mm.
it's like a category 4 is offshore kind of thing. And it was so strange. And we we went to get just regular weekly groceries, and I just wanted a 4-pack of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I had to buy 12. And they're the
Wow.
rolls that don't fit on the little thingy. So I had to buy a stand to hold the damn things. So it's crazy. Yes, I told my neighbors, if you need toilet paper, just knock on my door.
Yeah, please pop by.
Yeah,
right.
because it's in my laundry room, because I have this teeny tiny house. I think my office is like the biggest room in the house. And there's 4 of us living here, and it's really small. I can't buy things in bulk.
No,
It's
it's
crazy.
the same with us. I mean, a lot of houses in the UK are very small as well, so I have no idea where people are putting things. We don't have a shed. We don't even have any cupboards, really.
I
Just
suppose
madness.
trunks of cars.
Well, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. I could do
Uh-oh.
that.
People, don't go out and buy more stuff and put it in the trunk of your car.
No, no.
Okay, so we're going to talk about books. We could
Yes,
talk about
a
craziness.
much more interesting topic.
Much more interesting. So I found your book, Ain't Nothing But a Pound Dog, which I absolutely loved. And I listened to the audiobook, and I loved the audio lady. But I'm going to buy the ebooks because I tend to read at night before I go to bed. And
Yeah.
since I won't be driving anywhere or for a while, I'm going to be doing more reading. So I thought, well, I prefer to read if I'm going to be home. But my friend Terry loved it. She just listened to Ain't Nothing But a Pound Dog, and she kept texting me, "Is Toby going to be all right?" I'm so worried about Toby. And
Of
I said,
course, he'll be all right.
yes,
There
there's
are
more books.
challenges, but he's fine.
Yes, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And I saw that you, in addition to, so tell everybody a little bit about the Toby series to start with.
Okay. I don't know where the idea came from. I absolutely love dogs. I only have 2 of my own now, but um, they are my life in so many ways. And so I wanted to combine the way I kind of humanize my dogs with the sort of thing I love writing, which was the witchy series. So that's when I came up with the idea of having a magical dog. And I hadn't read a lot in the cozy animal genre, I must admit. So I didn't know I might be doing it wrong. And I think I might be doing it wrong, but that's okay. And so I based Toby loosely on a rescue dog that I had about 13 years ago. And he was a scruffy hound that I found in a pound. And he was quite old by the time I found him. He was about 9 years old. But he was such a mischievous, fun-loving chap, you know. And I thought, well, I'll put him into a couple of situations and we'll see where we go with it. And quite quickly, Ain't Nothing But a Pound Dog kind of formed in my head. And so it's about a poor dog that loses his owner when somebody kills old Joe. And Toby is sent to the pound and he's on a limited life license, I suppose. He's got 6 months to find a home. And when he doesn't find one, he escapes. And that's when he tries to solve the problem of who killed old Joe. And then quite quickly we meet Clarissa, who becomes his new human, and she is old Joe's granddaughter. And they work together and they build up this loving relationship. And I quite like that idea. Clarissa is a witch who has absolutely no idea how to look after dogs, really. She's based on a journalist that I knew locally, who was called Clarissa, and the first book is dedicated to her. And, you know, I just wanted something that was quite fun, but was a murder mystery at the same time. And then I found that I couldn't put it all into one book, so it had to be a trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good. You're shaking. The computer screen's shaking just a little?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
for anybody watching on video, I don't want them to get seasick. Yeah, and the first one ends with a not really a cliffhanger, but kind of a cliffhanger, but enough I felt was told and enough was closed that I was okay with that. And I'm ready to dive into the next one. Now I know some people don't like when you leave things hanging. So were you worried at all about having a cliffhanger and losing anybody?
Yes, of course, always. I learnt a lesson with the other series that I have, the Wonky Inn series, where when I wrapped up book 4, I didn't wrap it up properly. I did leave a massive cliffhanger in that one. And I kind of felt if people were invested in the characters, they wouldn't mind so much. And the other one was on pre-order, you know, with only 4 weeks between the two. But I still came into some criticism for that. And so I was aware that cliffhangers are not a good thing to do. So within and of itself, Ain't Nothing But a Pound Dog is a fairly whole story, but it works better as a trilogy.
Yeah, and I like that it sets up. I like the conclusion it came to, and I like how it's set up for the next ones. And I felt that if the person was liked the characters, if they're invested in the characters, and I really love Toby, so of course I'm going to read on to find out what happens to him. So I think that I don't think you'll lose, you know, your main target. You might lose people who weren't really interested in going on to the next thing. Now the other ones, and I love the covers, all the covers too, and the witchy covers. What's the name of the witch series?
Wonky Inn.
Wonky, that's right. That's great. And the covers are gorgeous. And I saw that you just had a #1 for one of your books, a #1 release.
Yes, yes,
Oh, that's
yes. I've just had
fantastic.
a big promotion on The Wonkiest Witch, and it's been wonderful because all of a sudden I've got new readers, specifically in America and Canada, that I'd never had before. And it's just an absolute thrill. So people have been able to pick up The Wonkiest Witch for free, but they're also reading through. And so the others in the series are also doing well. And I'm just like, oh, I'm made up. People are reading me.
Oh, I know. You know, as a writer, you love it when readers discover your books. And especially
Yes.
after they've read the first in a series, if they read the second, it's like, oh, it's like Sally Field when she got her Oscar. You really like me.
Yes. Exactly that. So, yeah, I know it. Every day is bringing something, wonderful about one of my books. So I'm just absolutely made up with that.
You know, and it's really it's exciting about the whole witch. I was really excited also about the witch series because I just found out in my my dad had told me that we're related to one of the Salem witches, and I
Ooh.
forget which one it is. It's written down somewhere, but I
Ah,
thought my first thought was, oh, I need to write something about witches, and I need to go to Salem to really get
yes.
immersed in all the culture. So when you are looking at your series and things, is there any pilgrimage that you feel that you have to take in order to really wrap your head around your subject matter?
Ooh, that's a very interesting question. Um, I think all women have a bit of witch in them, to be honest, in the sense that we're all green witches, kitchen witches, natural witches, that we heal ourselves and each other, and we look after our children, we care for our parents, and we do all those things instinctively with skills that are handed down to us generation through generation. And I think there is something magical in that. And so I think if you tap into that and you become aware of the environment that you're within, and for me here in East Devon, I'm looking over here because I can look out of my window at the valley across the way. It's so beautifully green, but also there's a lot of forest here. And when I'm walking in the forest, I feel that deep within me. And so the essence of Wonky Inn, the essence of the main character there, who's called Alf Hild, Alf, is how much she feels the nature within herself. With most of the witches in all my stories, right across, because I write horror and dark fantasy as well, all of those witches have something essential inside them, and that's the important thing, harnessing your power as a woman or your power as a human, and mostly spreading the love. Most of my witches are very loving, compassionate people, not really very evil. So so I think that's a really interesting question. I think I try and channel um, nature really through me, through myself, and try and get that into my work. But having said that, I don't live too far away from Glastonbury. I don't know if you guys know Glastonbury, but it is
I've heard
the
it. Yeah.
spiritual Wiccan centre. It's a place where the magic is instilled in the UK. I think people talk about the legend of King Arthur and everything being quite local to that area. So here in the West Country, we are among the pixies and all that sort of thing. I think,
Nice.
yeah,
So it's right there in your
sure,
backyard, which is fantastic.
yes, indeed.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you were a kid, I mean, have you always had the feel of nature and witches and that kind of thing? Did you have books that inspired you as a kid?
Oh, do you know, I used to play at being a witch with my brother, and used to try and terrify him, to be quite honest. And he's now a murder detective, so he's not scared of anything, thank goodness.
Wow. So
But
maybe you prepped him then for this, for what he did
yeah,
later in
I
life.
think I helped him along, definitely. He's a success because of me. Um, and I was an absolute I used to read everything I could get my hands on when I was a kid. So I've read everything. I love everything. Um, I think I've always had that love of nature and the world instilled inside of me, because that's the way my parents are. But I didn't really think about. And then I studied history. That was the other thing. I studied history and became very aware of the generational aspects of, because my PhD looked at education within family and how skills are handed down to through the generations, you see. And that's what kind of got me into this idea that we are so much more than just learning how to make cakes or whatever skills are handed down. There are other things that are handed down between mother and daughter and granddaughters and so on. These beliefs, these things that we do for each other, the habits we have as, generations, these habits that come down. And I think that's when I started to really think about the essence of who I am and how I work with the environment. It's a bit of a convoluted answer, but uh, it yes, all these things form us, don't they, from an early age, really? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think that I know in the United States we spread out a lot, and you
Mm.
don't have those generations living in the same house or on the same block. And
Mm.
I think that we really miss out on all the things that I mean, you look back at like that TV show, The Waltons. They all lived in the same house, and the grandparents are there to help the parents understand how to raise children, and they're there for guidance and to help them. And we just don't have that nowadays. And I think
No,
that
I
that's
know.
especially here. That you might over in the UK, but here everybody is so spread out, and everybody is, why I don't need your help, and I'm going to do it on my own. And you don't really know anything, even though you raised two children, and I have this new baby and I know more than you kind of get
Yeah.
that from. I think these kids are missing out,
Mm.
and families are missing out by not having that structure and the family unit to build on. Really, I think there's a lot missing from that, and I think the internet has kind of pulled us farther apart than it's really helped us.
Oh, I agree, absolutely. And I mean, I think you're right. I think maybe we're a bit better off in the UK just because the distances aren't so vast. But my mum and dad are still an hour away, and at a time like now when I really want to see them, I I can't. The government is kind of banning that sort of travel and contact with our elders. Um, but also, I come from a military family, and so as a youngster, I didn't see my grandparents and extended family that much. But when I did see them, it was very intense, and I think that makes a difference,
Yeah.
because we'd be abroad and then we'd come home and we'd be home for a couple of weeks, and it would be all like nanny, 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 and I was very close to my maternal grandmother, especially. So yeah.
Yeah. Now you've got a zillion books. How many books do you have out? I was going to
Oh,
scroll and
gosh.
count them, but I gave up.
I don't know. I think there's 8 in the Wonky Inn series. I'm writing the ninth at the moment, plus 2 Christmas specials on that one. 3 in Spellbound Hound, and then I've got a couple of standalones, horrors, and non-fiction.
And have you
Bits
have,
and bobs.
you've got quite a few. So if people want to start in with the Wonky series and they have a lot to read, will there be any more than just the 3 in the Toby series?
Yes. I was in Sri Lanka in January, and I'd already wrapped up the third one, and the trilogy was just going to be the trilogy. And then I saw some street dogs, one street dog in particular, and it broke my heart, absolutely broke my heart. So I'm writing the fourth, which will be called Master of Puppies, and because I'm a Metallica fan. So it's based on the Master of Puppets song. And that one will be, I'm going to use that one, the money that I get for that one, I'm going to use to give to charities. So
Oh,
Sri Lanka
nice.
dogs initially, but then I'll choose a different charity every month.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And then, you know, if they go on to be received quite well, then there is scope for some more Spellbound Hound, definitely.
Oh yeah, hope so, hope so. So do you work full time as a writer now, or has it been?
No, no, my husband and I have a little seaside gift shop.
uh,
Um, it doesn't make mega bucks, but it's open 7 days a week, and we split our time. So he does 4 days and I do three. And on the 4 days that I'm home, I write. So I write about 8 hours a day. And so it's almost full time writing. It's like
yeah,
part time work and full time writing. So um, it's quite full on. And then I spend my evenings doing a bit of marketing, or, you know, doing my Amazon ads or whatever I need to do, newsletters and things.
yeah, yeah.
I'm constantly obsessing about my books and writing and plots and covers, and, you know, it's always in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that if you're not a writer, you don't quite understand that in writers' heads, the story is continually going. It's
Yes.
always there. There's always something. I mean, my husband and I will be out walking, and all of a sudden I'll say, "Hang on," and I'll stop so I can make notes about whatever I'm currently working with. I mean, I was in a Walmart once, and I had to run into the restroom to use paper towels. It was pre-cell phone days, to use paper towels to write on,
Well, this
because
is it. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I carry my notebook everywhere, and I am constantly jotting down funny names and things, you know, that I think, oh, that's a great name. I want to use that name, or place names.
yes,
And while we were on holiday, I've got a dodgy knee. My husband's got a dodgy hip, and we were struggling to get up some hotel stairs. And my husband said, "Oh, that's what you could call your next novel: Wonky Hips and False Teeth."
yeah,
So
I like
I
that.
haven't called it that, but it is. That's where the idea came from. Wonky Hips and False Teeth is basically the subtitle of Wonky Nine, which is about. It's called A Gaggle of Grandmamas. Um, it's based on the older generation, yeah. But yeah, it's like anything can inspire you, and you're like, oh, I must write that down.
Truly, truly, people have to understand that if you are friends with a writer or around a writer, you will end up in one of their books eventually. And if you're not nice to them, you will end up dead in one of their books.
Well, a true story is that the first short story that I had published, accepted for publication, I murdered my manager in it because I was so furious with him that I thought, I'm just, you know, there were a million ways I could think of to kill him. So I did. So he's just fortunate I did it on paper, I think.
Did he ever find out?
I have no idea and I don't care.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Uh,
Oh, so you write 8 hours. I did that for a while, but it was just too emotionally exhausting. So now I try to
mm,
only write a
mm,
couple hours a day. And
mm,
this last
mm.
like 3 weeks, I haven't written a word. And if my
Oh,
editor's listening, I'm so sorry, Lisa. I am going to get back to writing because I've got a book I'm trying to finish. I've got one chapter left.
oh
So,
no.
oh, I
Do
know, I've
it.
got one chapter left. And so, do those 8 hour days, do they absolutely exhaust you or do they energize you?
A bit of both. Um, I mean, I was made redundant in 2012, which is when I started to write. And the first couple of years, the writing that I did, you know, it was rubbish, basically. It was rubbish. I look back at it now and I think, eesh. So I would say that I've only been producing decent stuff since about 2016. So I'm relatively new to the scene, really. And over the years, I've done so many jobs. I mean, I left school and I trained as a stage manager. I worked in theatre for a while. Then I couldn't get much work in London theatres, so I did odd jobs like worked in libraries. I was a fish and chip shop assistant. You know, I've done it all, waitressing, the works. And I went back to university slightly later, and then I taught for 16 years. So I've been around the block with jobs. and tried so many different things. And it wasn't until I started to write properly that I realized I'd found my home, that this is where I belong, that this is what I wanted to be doing. So I think, yes, it is exhausting, but I've never felt happier. And therefore, it's what I want to be doing. And it's a decent sort of exhaustion, isn't it? It's not
Yes.
a daily grind. It's like, well, I've only managed to do, say, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 words today, but I really feel like I've achieved something. And, I'm really happy with my characters, or, oh my God, my character's driving me nuts, or whatever. But it's wonderful. I love what I do now. And yeah, so it is a bit of both, a bit of energy and a bit of, oh my goodness.
And that's great because it's actually a job then that you love, and you don't dread sitting down to it. And
Mm.
at the end of the day, if you are exhausted or whatever, then you go out for a walk and then come back.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it's lovely spending time with my dogs, while I was working full time, and you never get to see them. You just think, well, what's the point of having them, really? So now, I feel like they have a better home life, different set of dogs now. But yeah, that's nice.
It
And
is.
making decent dinners and things. I always say I like to cook cauldron meals. So I tend to go down at lunchtime and chop a load of vegetables and put something in a pot. And then I'll go down and switch it on at 4:30 or whatever. And when my husband comes home from the shop, we've got something decent. I like that. It's fun.
It is nice. It is nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Hopefully it's just on my end. Okay. Tell people where they can find you.
Right. Well, I am presently updating my website. So that's jeanniewycherley.co.uk. But mostly you'll find all my books on Amazon. It's just getting the spelling of my surname right, which is always a
Yes.
bit of a challenge.
Yes. And that's, excuse me, if you're listening on the podcast, it is Wycherley. But you could just type in Wonky Witch or Spellbound Hound, and her books will pop up because I check to make sure, and they do.
Ah, brilliant.
Yes, and I'll have links in the show notes for all of her books. And you have a newsletter?
I do. You can sign up to it at my website,
At your website.
jeanniewycherley.uk.
And I'll have that in the show notes. And it's just like it sounds. It's spelled just like it sounds, people. And she's also on Twitter as at the Cushion Lady.
Yes, that
E
comes from my love
U.
of cushions.
Yeah, that's THECUSHION Lady. And
Yeah.
then also on Facebook.
On Facebook is Jeannie Wycherley. Yeah.
Okay, and so we'll have links to all those in the show notes. And thanks a lot for coming on today. And when you have the next book out, I think you just had one out, right? Because it just hit #1.
Yes, we've just had Bark Side of the Moon out. We've got more audio coming for book 2 of Spellbound Hound, book 3 of Spellbound Hound. And there's also audio for the Wonky books. The first 3 are currently out, and there's another 2 of those in the pipeline. So there's audio if people prefer that.
Oh, yes. And some of my listeners do prefer audio. So you heard it. There are in ebook, in paperback, and in audio. So I'll have the links in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on today. And when your next Toby one is coming out, and the one that you'll be donating proceeds to, come back on and talk about it again, and we'll give a couple copies away.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for hosting me.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jeannie. You can find her books in the show notes. There'll be links, and I highly recommend the Spellbound Hound books if you like paranormal animals. And I have not started the Wonky Witch books yet, but they're all highly ranked. She just had a #1 release on her latest book, so they must be wonderful. So I'm going to get into those soon. And if you have any recommendations for me, since I'm sitting around the house a lot now, please drop down to the show notes and give me recommendations. Even if it's your book, if you're an author, let me know what I should be reading. It's okay to recommend yourself. For everybody around the world, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay. Try not to feel too trapped. Um, books are a great way to escape for a little while. And I think it's now that we have lots of time, maybe you can catch up on all those books that you have been meaning to read. Read with your kids, have them read to you. Um, it's going to be a while, I think, until we're out of this. Um, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So stay healthy, stay happy. If you are somewhere in the world and you would like to tell me about how things are going for you, or just what you're doing to pass the time, and because we could all use suggestions, go ahead and, like I said, drop down to the show notes. If you are on the podcast, well, you're not going to be in the car probably listening, but drop down to the show notes. You click on that link. It'll take you to a site that I will see the comments. And if you're on YouTube, you know what to do. And that's it for this week. I will see you next week with another great show. In the meantime, go read a good book.